Hi, it's Andrew Remt. Again, this is my third book share for Li243. This week it is historical fiction, and the book I chose for this week is called Almost the Freedom. It is written by Vonda Michelle Nelson, and it's illustrated by Colin Bootman. It's another hardcover, as was last week's. This book is a little bit longer than my previous two, as it's 40 pages. It is another picture book, but it's also historical fiction, so it got historical fiction and picture book. So it's really interesting because it's about slavery and the Underground Railroad. So you get both of those aspects about that time in the culture and the differences compared to what we have in today's society. This book is suitable for ages 6 to 10. I would use this in a social studies class. I would definitely read this before doing a lesson on slavery and the Underground Railroad. I would emphasize an Underground Railroad and bring up names like Harriet Tubman when describing those events. But I would use this book as an opener for the lesson because it does provide some historical context along with the fictional aspects too. Again, it's historical fiction, so there are made-up characters, but the time and place takes time during slavery in the 1830s, leading up to the Civil War. So this book is really good about detailing the lives and hardships of African Americans dealing with being slaves and all the hardships that come along as well. I would read this whole book to you guys, but it's pretty long. What I'm going to do instead is just read a couple pages to show how the author uses its dialect and other features about this book to make it a good book for your classroom. So I'm going to probably just read the first few pages and then I'll explain more about this book. So this book again is called Almost a Freedom, and it's by Vonda Nelson and illustrated by Colin Bootman. I started out no more than a bunch of rags on a Virginia plantation. Lindy's mama was my maker. Miss Rachel done a fine job putting me together, taking extra time to sew my face on real careful thread. Embroidery, they call it. I don't have no hair. Miss Rachel just made a bandana from some old cloth and tied it around my head like she wore. I used to think about having me some hair, but now it doesn't bother me none. When she's done sewing, Miss Rachel give me to her little girl. Lindy hugs me hard and says, "Your name be Sally. We gonna be best friends. From that first day when Lindy be somewheres, I be with her." I like how Lindy holds me at night and doesn't even mind when she rolls over me in her sleep. Being Lindy's doll baby is a right important job for me. When Lindy and Miss Rachel pick cotton, I be there too. Lindy ties me around her waist with a rope. The knot's kind of loose, and after a while I fall to the ground. "Sally, you getting yourself all dirty," Lindy says. "Now you stay put." Miss Rachel wipes sweat from her brow and shows Lindy how to tie me on tight. The overseer hollers, "Get up there," like he's talking to a couple horses. He's riding over carrying his whip. Miss Rachel and Lindy quickly start picking again. The work be hard, but the long days seem a mite easier with everybody singing "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, come forward to carry me home." Come sundown, we sit around and listen to stories about little critters fooling big ones and about slaves outsmarting mosses. This is the best times because there's lots of laughing and singing. But when folks start talking about something called freedom, their faces turn serious in the firelight. Some say you can buy freedom, but it's so dear we never even heard of anybody that ever could. Seems like the only way is to get run away to a place called the North. So yeah, these were the first few pages, but as you guys can tell, this author uses a great use of dialect in the slang that Southerners use down south. And it really captures, again, the way people talked and acted back then, back in the 1830s in southern U.S. And it just, these illustrations also capture great detail of the hardships of these slaves. And, you know, they're, again, look at this, they're picking cotton, and it's just terrible. But again, children, with historical fiction, children can't be filtered to just being protected from this, because with these hardships, it's a true reality of this actually happened. And so now, with showing this to your children, it really opens their eyes to respect anyone, and just basically keep their minds open, and so we don't have to resort back to possible times like that, because we all know how bad slavery was, and we want to educate our youth to show that, so they can make positive impacts in their future too. And I think this book does a great deal of showing respect to others. This book also shows a great source of courage and friendship, because the doll is so attached to Lindsay that whenever the doll leaves behind the family, she has to wait for a new family, and that courageousness and that love of friendship really stuck to her as she waited for a new family. So I think this book shows great values, and it also shows a good source of historical context that you want with a historical fiction book. Like I said, I wouldn't use this as a lesson. I would use this as an opener to a lesson to slavery and Underground Railroad, as this book gives great insights to both. I think that's about it. Thank you.